immediately and press record. Aha. I am so sorry that I didn't record before I listed all of that. And I'm actually just going to finish it up. And, all of these diverse industries.
That parts are not important.
I think, though, Wilma, you are very well equipped to be able to deliver on this overarching event theme or topic where really it talks to giving us, all of us, really, a toolkit that will enable us to go out there and lead, build, and innovate and really take up spaces as women. So, welcome, Wilma. I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you. I'm going to share my screen and then the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks for that introduction. And like I said, I don't think that part is important. I'm just old. I've just gone, like you said, I've done decades, well, 3 decades, almost three decades, right? But I do think that if just having said that, I can joke about the fact that about my age, right? But I do think that if you think about just the experience that I've gained throughout these years, it has helped me. What I knew in my 20s and what I do now makes me able to sit in a boardroom and look at things very differently. And even the topic that is chosen, it's very kind of like relevant. And the reason why I enjoyed speaking about this topic is because of that. I really, like I say, I joke about my age, but the thing is, it's helped me be able to thrive in this male-dominated, because not only did I choose an industry that's male-dominated, I chose a career that's male-dominated because I'm in IT, and IT is used to be predominantly men. I'm very excited at the amount of women that come through the door now in IT, right? 100%. But maybe I love and I love the fact that I can give you my introduction, right? But for me, it's about knowing who I am so that you can trust what I say is possibly then true, right? Because I believe if you know the person, you kind of like can resonate a little bit more with them. And also, one thing I don't enjoy very much is the sound of my voice for an hour. So please, and interject. Tell me, Wilma, can I speak? I'd like it to be engaging, because you're not going to get any value. Oh, you might if I just continue talking for the next hour. But I do think that it's very valuable if I can then maybe zone in on examples or talk to you specific questions that you might have. So I do not mind. I encourage that it is a more engaging. So, but yeah. So as you, yeah.
Do you mind confirming for me? Can you see my screen? Am I sharing properly?
I can see.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now, what's happening is, as a moderator and I'm sharing my screen, I cannot see who is raising a hand or anything like that. So I'm going to be very dependent on just questions being dropped on the chat, and I'll monitor that, everyone, if you don't mind, as we go along, just if you can just help me along. But where I'm able to navigate that and sort it out, please feel free to just raise a hand, unmute, and have a conversation. Like Wilma is saying, this is a conversation. We are engaging and we are sharing and learning together. So I just wanted to make sure that we can all see the screen and as you go along. Thank you so much.
So I'm pretty sure by now you all have read that screen that's on there. So that's who I am, right? I have many roles. I am passionate about mentorship is one of my passions. I think I'm very, very much passionate in making a difference in somebody's life, right? And I think in the workplace we have that opportunities, But I do believe that if we like the topics that are there, I'm going to briefly go through, because I do believe that if you look at that topics and you look at thriving in a male-dominated industry, how does that relate to each other? But I'm going to kind of take you on that journey quickly, right? So if we can move to the next one. So I believe you are who you are, right? I believe if we don't know who we are and our self-reflection and what makes us who we are, then it's very difficult to take up space. It's very difficult to be innovative, break barriers like we've just heard, right? It's very, very difficult if you do not understand who you as a person are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses. And where do we normally start? At the beginning of each year, we try. The reason why we put our goals up is because we want to improve ourselves, right? And typically, your self-reflection leads you to whether you're spiritual, financial, family, physical. And you can see there, I even put a specific slide there. I do believe your physical is one of the important, and I don't mean go to the gym. Going to the gym is great, but I mean our mental wealth. Now, we need to make sure, because us as women think we can do everything in the world because we're super moms, super women. We can do everything. So we neglect our mental health. And you just follow me. You will see where this picture is going to go to, right? So I do believe that self-reflection in the beginning of the year, we do that. In our professional capacity, we need to do our goals, our PDPs, those type of things. And I don't know, every company is different. We do it a little bit differently, right? So this slide here, once you do your self-reflection and who you do, you are your own brand, right? I was a consultant for many, many years, right? And what I knew was I was just as good as my last project was. That is what my brand meant to me, right? So I think we need to remember that our brand is what is all encompassing of us. And we need to remember that, you need to own yourself, who you are. Often as women, what we do is we sit in that boardroom and we're surrounded by men and we doubt ourselves. We've all heard the imposter syndrome, all those things. But we forget that what we bringing to the table is our brand, your uniqueness. Who makes you up? Nobody else in that room can think the way you think. So remember that you are going to bring that to the table. So we need to recognize these qualities, understand what your strengths are. So 20-year-old self versus 50-year-old self. 20-year-old self walked into a boardroom intimidated by a bunch of men. 50-year-old self walk into the boardroom and I wish they underestimate me because they look at me, you can't really see, you just see this part of me now. I am small, I'm tiny, right? So that already, I walk into a boardroom, people underestimate me, especially the males. They'll talk over me, everything. And then I know for a fact, I'm confident enough to sit in that boardroom to understand that what I know, number one, come prepared. And what I know, the experience that I know is firstly going to drop their jaws because they underestimated me walking into that boardroom, right? But the second thing is you need to be confident. You need to walk in there confidently, knowing that what you bring to the table is who you are as a person, let alone your skills, everything like that, right? Say that one of the, I know I see you move to the next screen, but one of the other things is how do you gain this confidence, right? How do we gain the person that and build up our brand so that you don't have to wait till you're 50 to be confident walking into a boardroom and being able to not be intimidated by a male counterpart, right? Is like the title there says, embrace growth and learning, because the more capabilities you have, the more confident you are, the more you can be surrounded by like-minded people or people that are more senior than you and be able to talk. Because much as my topic is thriving in a male-dominated industry, I believe women can also come and add to that intimidation, So whether it is male or whether it is women, it is a global thing. We all just worry that when we walk into any room, that you own that space. And how do we own that space? Let's start learning. Let's start adding to our capabilities. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Believe it or not, I was an introvert before. You know, I was an introvert. I would never have been able to do these things. It is through confidence of teaching myself, embracing learning. And because you learn, you become confident. You realize that, okay, I know about this topic. I've read, I've been taught, I've been trained about the topic. So I'm building my confidence, right? So educate yourself. Take every opportunity in the workplace to educate yourself. I often, with my staff, they do not understand why I take PDP, which is your personal development plan, seriously. If you don't take it seriously, your manager is not going to take it seriously. So you need to make sure you take your development serious and use that cycle of performance development if you're in a company to your advantage. But I think my point is continue to grow and learn, because that adds to who you as a person are, right?
I absolutely love that, if I may just jump in, because for me, it speaks to, as women, especially in these male-dominated spaces and industries, once you find yourself that seated at the table, there's usually just one of us, or just two of us, at this table of how many ever, thinking about an organization. And sometimes that can lead to the fear of not wanting to raise your hand and say, I need help and I need guidance and I need assistance here, because we are constantly worried about being undermined in our space and our roles, and perhaps being seen as we are not capable, we are not suitable, we're not skilled enough, or we're not qualified, we're not experienced. So for me, this speaks to a lot of unlearning that we actually need to do, and knowing that there is power in raising your hand and saying, I need more information here, I need assistance here, I need help here, I need support here. So I love this embracing growth and learning, because it means you need to embrace being in an uncomfortable spot, right? Love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And can I give an example of what you just said? I can tell you now, I still get undermined. I still sit in a boardroom where you looked at, and I mean, I'm in a senior position, you still get that undermined, where people do tend to think that you're not capable. But it's again about that confidence that you as a person, that's why I said you need to do self-reflection and know what you bring to that table, because people like that will always be around. Whether I'm my 20-year-old self, 30-year-old self, or already now, I'm still experiencing that. And again, like I said, it comes from any sphere of life, any industry, any whether it is male or female. You are going to get that. But these nuggets that you into and that you put into you as a person, that is what's going to make the difference and help you thrive in your environment. Whether it is a male that's trying to manage out the company, whether it's a female that's taking her step out on you, it's just understanding that this is what's going to happen irrespective. But you make sure you take care of yourself and understand and know what your brand is and what you bring to that table. Hold your confidence.
Love it.
I spoke about this, right? I spoke about this. Guys, prioritize well-being and balance. Again, we're not super moms. I'm going to give you a example, right? I used to think that I could do everything. And I still think I can do everything. I can in my day go to work, come back, make sure there's dinner on the table, make sure my child is fed, make sure my child has done his homework, put my child to bed, get up, start working again, put my laptop down, go and get the minimum hours of sleep, right? You can do all that in a day, right? But then I I sat back one day and I said, should I be doing this? Okay, so I am married, and I literally said, there was 2 days, so I had exco till late in the afternoon. So okay, I was already stressing. Okay, now I need to still get my child fed. I need to, what are we eating today? All those things. I went back and I thought, wait, hold on now, you know? So a couple of days when my husband takes care of my son, then I see, well, he's ordering takeaways. I thought, and then I realized, so what is wrong? Why do you feel the need to come home and make a meal from scratch after you've gone through a lot? And I know it's a really simple example, right? But it was some things that I realized, but I need to make my life easier. You know, I need to incorporate this balance into my life, you know?
Absolutely.
One of the challenges, yeah, and one of the challenges I did get where there is a big difference between having a male boss is to create that balance. They will push those boundaries. They will push those boundaries to say,
Yeah.
I don't care if you've got, well, they do care because they know you've got him and he's young, you know, they do. But they're going to see you allowing that. You're okay with working till late and then still going for a dinner to entertain guests or something like that, until I have to say, no, I can't anymore. I can't do it. I have to get home. And then the answer sometimes is, oh, okay, that's fine, you know. But we're so scared to raise our hands again. We're so scared to say, no, put those boundaries. I actually can't this time. Maybe next time I can make an exception. I can organize it a little bit better. But we're too scared because we think it's career limiting. Ladies, if it is career limiting for you to take care of yourself, create the balance, and understand that there is also family, then maybe that's not the place you should be.
Yeah.
Then you should ask yourself different questions, right? Because the balance is very important. But often we allow people to push beyond the boundaries that we set for ourselves. And again, that is one thing. The other thing is make sure you look after yourself. You have to take time for self-care. That is very important. Okay, because if you're not looking after yourself, you go into that boardroom an emotional tired wreck.
Yes.
And then you get stereotyped.
Yes.
So this is important, to make sure that you walk in there and everything else is behind you, and you can still confidently, because you are well balanced. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, this makes me think, and I don't know if everyone in the room has come across the saying, but in South Africa, there's this saying that was coined by the generation, I think, before us, you know, the struggle stalwarts that led us to gaining the freedom that we did in South Africa in 1994. But that movement coined a saying that says, "Watinda bafazi, watindi mbokoto," which direct translation is like women are rocks, meaning we are rock hard, we do not break, we are strong, we are resilient, we can take anything and everything. But I'm seeing a change in the new generation, and you know, our generation and the generation after us, you know, as definitely the Gen Zs. And there's this like this thing now of like not normalizing wanting a soft life. You know, we do not need to be hard rocks to be successful, to be powerful. And to a degree, that is actually found as almost like it can be, depending on the context, a bit toxic, can't it? Because that makes me think of that saying here, because sometimes, especially in the workspace, we think that we have to be this strong, resilient, never breaking, always available humans, because we're trying to break that barrier and that ceiling and to prove that we can do it. So, yeah, don't know what you think about us being rocks, but
we
do we
are.
want to be rocks?
Like you took.
Do we still want to be rocks?
No, but we're not one or the other. That's the beauty of our personality traits, which is one of the other things I said. We tend to think that being emotional, empathetic, all those things are weaknesses that was normally perceived as weaknesses, but it is not any longer. That is what we actually bring as an advantage to the table, because us as women, they find that women are better because they're more empathetic, they are better leaders, right? Because you are a little, because you can communicate better, you're able to manage better. Because of the traits that were previously our disadvantage, it is now being regarded as one of the top traits that you find in leaderships. Most women, the fact that we can multitask, those type of things, all things we were always mocked about and or discriminated about. It's all those softer skills that make us better leaders. But we tend to think we need to be aggressive, or we need to be a little bit more less softer. But softer doesn't mean you must be unemotional, because that is what your biggest strength is, right? And I think for me as well, like you said before, maybe the Gen Zs are a little bit different, right? But one advantage in today's day and age that I didn't have when I was entering this male-dominated industry is the fact that policies and acts have been changed to say give women equal opportunities. That is a big win. The fact is that you're in the door already now. So you are already thriving, right? You are already there. You are already able and given the tools to do that. You just need, and that's why I harp on the confidence. And you just need to be bold enough to be able to take those opportunities. So before we started the session, one of the ladies, it was the only time I got to look at the chat, but one of the ladies, something about navigating, starting on your own. I did that 15 years ago. I started on my own. I had a successful, thriving IT business, right? Today, you got all the opportunities. You just need to be bold enough to take that step. That's all. The opportunities are there. How many companies do you know that deal more with women? How many companies do you know that that know that what a woman brings to the table? Because the barriers and the journeys people before us have gone through, you just need to be bold enough. Be bold enough to take that step and be courageous enough to take that step. That's what you just need. And own your space. Know that you've got already a lot of hard work that's gone into paving this way for you. Just be bold enough to do it. Building a support network. That's the slide that's up there. It's important. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. And then mentorship. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't really think that mentorship was important, right? Yeah. So I don't need to convince you about the mentorship, the support. Surround yourself. I think two things. It's not just surrounding yourself in your work environment. It's surrounding yourself in your personal environment. And because I think that in the work environment, mentorship becomes the person that keeps you accountable, right? Whereas in your personal environment, it's a little bit harder, because that person's going to see through your kind of like fluffiness. And I don't want to say the word that I want to say, but they're going to see through your bullshit, right? Yeah. So so get that person that's going to hold you accountable, because remember the very first thing that we said, set your goals, what do you want to grow to? That is going to hold you accountable, so that at the end of 2025, you're going to have reached what you wanted to achieve in this year, So I think it's very, very important. And then of course it's forums like this. Find a way to make sure that you get onto forums like this and that you join, because it encourages you and it gives you that network of opportunities. Don't discount it. I did that for a very the earlier part of my career. I didn't do that because, again, I was an introvert, right? So I didn't do that. I didn't feel the need to, because it was out of my comfort zone. But trust me, there is power in building a good network. A lot of power.
Love that. As they say, I know it's cliche and it may sound cheesy or overused, but they say your network is your net worth.
Absolutely.
No one is a silo. No one is a silo. We don't get to wherever we are, even if we are still building and wanting to still continue climbing that ladder, someone at some point has, you know, created um, a platform or pulled you up with them. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
truly believe in that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And then, can we go to the next
Yes,
slide?
yes.
Okay, I was waiting for this slide.
Awesome.
So, yeah, celebrate. And I know it sounds strange when you say celebrate your progress and resilience, right? So, I believe, and that's why I encourage engaging as well. Yeah, because your your achievements empower you, right? And
Mm.
they help you thrive, right? And them to be the things, like, you remember that saying that I put there, setbacks become your comeback, right? You're gonna learn, and you're gonna understand that, okay, this is what I've learned from these experiences, right? And you're gonna walk into that boardroom again next time. And I keep saying boardroom, but any situation that you find yourself uncomfortable with, where you find yourself outnumbered, you find yourself um, feeling like you're not the smartest person in the room, like you don't know what you're talking about. Those situations I'm talking about, where you get into that, your achievements and your setbacks are going to help you,
Yeah.
because those things and that's why I believe we can learn from each other as well, because the setbacks and the trauma we all go through would help somebody else, so that when you're either going to learn from it, or you're going to say, oh, I didn't really learn from whatever your achievement is, and then I'm going to go learn. I'm going to go fall into the same trap and learn the lesson myself. Sometimes we need to be smart. We need to learn from others and make the right decision in that circumstance, instead of going through the trials yourself. So maybe just remember that as well, because that is who you are as a person as well. So you take
Yeah.
those learnings, that boardroom, you sit there with those learnings, because you've gone through it. It's your experience, right? And again, it just builds to that success that you would have in your life. And how do I say this? So the smaller things, because often we feel that we should celebrate big milestones that happens in our life. 2 weeks ago, you know what I celebrated on a Friday? I
Tell
made it through the week.
us.
I made it through the week. That's it. There was every single setback that came, that you can think of. You have one, sometimes you have a day like that. I
Yeah.
had a week of that, fighting fires, do it, whether it
Yeah.
came, and sometimes it doesn't only come in your work life or professional life, in your personal life, everything. And then you sit there and say, whoa, woe is me, you know.
Yeah.
So I celebrated that Friday. I made it through the week, you
Well,
know.
awesome.
So that's why I say sometimes celebrate the fact that those small little wins in your life. That was really a very small example, but I think you get my point. You celebrate because your progresses talks to your resilience.
Yeah.
I am a little bit of a stronger person, having gone through what I went through that week, right? So it builds that resilience.
100%.
Those, yeah. So celebrate those things in your life. Don't take it for granted.
Love that. We have just 2 more minutes to go through the presentation, and then we have to open it up for Q&A and a bit of
Okay. No,
engagement.
you know what?
Yes,
I actually did say quite a lot. We don't have to go through the entire presentation. I
100%.
think maybe let me just sum it up. I really do thank you for actually joining the session, because as you can see, I'm very passionate about it. But I do think that if I can leave you with anything, we as women are trying to break barriers, right? And we define expectations, and we are redefining what's possible, right? And I do think that irrespective of a male dominated, a female dominated, whatever your environment is that you find yourself in, if you can just take one thing out of the session from me, is just remember, it's your brand that you are constantly working at. Your brand gives you confidence. Your brand gives you the ability to sit and progress in your career even, so just always continuously work on that, from the self-care from the softer sides to the professional sides, and always make sure that you have something in your network, in your corner, that's going to encourage you, hold you accountable, tell you are breaking, you need some self-care time, and just remember, as if you're confident, you can thrive in any industry, not just a male-dominated industry. And you don't have to wait till your 50s like me.
All right. Thank you so much, Wilma. I mean, those insights, and I think that's just, I'm going to stop sharing now so I can actually see I tried my
Yes.
best to see what's going on, but I think that is a powerful toolkit. And I like that. I like that you didn't deep dive into the technical stuff. And you went back into the basics of how we need to, set those goals so you have a clear direction, self-care, and unlearning and unlearning certain things and building a healthy network. I'm going to open it to the floor, though, to just see if anyone wants to join in this conversation. Please, if anyone wants to unmute, say something to Wilma, ask a question, share an insight, experience, or feedback, or ask a question, please. If anyone would like to raise your hand, and we'll make sure you're unmuted and you are able to share and engage with us. While we wait for that, however, I think I just have I think I may have just one question for you, Velma. So, as someone who has worked in these diverse industries and spaces and fields, and from mining, telecommunications, VWSA, that's automotive, but you're in the finance side of things, but in IT, right? How have understanding the toolkit that you've built over the years, but I would like to understand when you were starting and beginning and that self-doubt may have been prominent, what kept you going? What made you keep persevering and persisting and pushing through and waking up every day and going, I am going to go back into that office and face that environment or those systems or challenges? What kept you going in the beginning that led you to the person that has this powerful toolkit right now?
I do think that we underestimate the support that we have, and it is always good to surround yourself with somebody that also believes in you, so that when you're feeling that self-doubt, that if going to somebody that can encourage you. I was surrounded by, believe it or not, at that point in my career, especially in the telco industries, I surrounded myself with people like that. But on those bad days that when I had to encourage myself up, I had several things that motivated me. Number one, I love the fact that I was in an industry. So that makes a big difference, that I would be one of few women that are in that industry, sitting in a room where there's only males. I love the fact, and it motivated me, that I am going to sit here and make the difference, because somebody else that's going to sit next is going to feel a lot less pain than I am, right? So that kind of kept me motivated. I actually also have a very strong faith, so that also motivated me a lot. And
I love that.
like God, why did you do this to me? But
faith kept you going. I love that. No, I'm laughing because I love it so much.
So that definitely. So for me, it was making sure that when you have your days, somebody's there, so you can go to somebody. It was the passion and the motivation and the just sheer desire. I loved what I was doing, so I wasn't going to let anybody else deter me from that. And just on that day-to-day basis to just get me up and going, it was just that faith and just that resilience that I was like, you know what, you can do it. You can actually get through this. And if I look at a very practical tool, I always believe preparation is key, right? So I would walk into any meeting, any meeting, no matter if it was just a stand up or something like that, at least knowing what am I going to say if I want to say something, right?
Love
If
it.
I'm going to say something, nobody's going to catch me off guard.
Yeah.
So what am I going to say? What are we discussing today? So I
Preparation.
honestly always believe preparation is key.
Mm.
No matter what, whether it is the biggest thing or the smallest thing, be prepared.
Thank you so much.
Whether it's a strategy meeting or a status meeting, be prepared.
Okay. We have 50 seconds left. I just want to thank you for those insights and that toolkit. I hope everyone here got to take away even one little thing. I had such a great time engaging with you. I hope you all did. We all learned so much from you. Thank you again for gracing us with your presence, and good day. And thank you for joining us, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Take care. I had a pop-up with 50 seconds. So I think we're going to be chucked out.
Are we just going to get kicked out of it?
I think so, or we can leave room. I just don't want to leave the room while this